with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom today is Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator at the U of I Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties. No, DeWitt, Macon, Piatt counties. Doggone it, Caitlin. Sorry about that. I do that every time. About every other time, I guess, now. Anyways, how you doing this morning?
Doing all right. I was telling you off air, I'm a little tired with the storms last night. It's disrupted my extra sleep.
Yeah.
But I'm here. We're going to do it.
There you go. Well, we appreciate you making time for us. And again, Caitlin in Logan, in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. I did it again. Gosh darn it. Anyways, Caitlin, let's dive into, speaking of the storms last night, I'm sure, and we had this challenge at my house a couple of years ago with that derecho that came through, trying to preserve food in refrigerators, freezers when the power goes out. Let's dive into that. I venture a guess there's maybe some folks out there that are dealing with some of that here today. This is a good, timely discussion. Let's start there this morning.
Sure. Yeah, I know we were without power last night for four-ish hours. So we were right under that kind of cutoff. So if your power goes out, you probably have some stuff in your freezers and your refrigerators, and the goal is to, as much as you can, just leave them alone. Don't try to open them. Don't try to get, foods. I know some people will try to do like the quick grab of like, I'm going to open the refrigerator as fast as I can and grab something and come out. Every time we open that door to your refrigerator, your freezer, or if you've got like a chest type freezer and you lift that lid, you're letting out that cold air, and until the power comes back on, that food is just going to continue to warm up. And so from a food safety perspective, we know that some of those foods might get too warm to a point where bacteria and other organisms that are already in your foods, that while they're cold, whether refrigerated or frozen, those organisms are pretty much not doing anything. And then as the power stays off, the longer that stays off, the warmer that food gets, and those bacteria may start to kind of go, okay, well, you know what? It's warming up. There's some food here. I might just start to nibble on this, and I'm going to grow and divide. And so during a power outage, as best you can, keep your doors closed for your refrigerators and freezers. Generally, a refrigerator is going to hold proper temperature for about 4 hours. So like for our household, we were just right at that last little, couple minutes of cutoff. A full freezer, so like fully stacked and stuffed full, you'll get about 2 days out of that. So if you are without power for a longer period of time, your frozen foods, if it's your freezer is pretty stuffed full, you'll get about 2 days on that of staying cold in a safe way. If your freezer is about half full, you're going to get about 1 day before that food is going to warm up enough where things like, well, one, the quality, which we can talk about separately, but the foods would be safe to, once that power comes back on, let your refrigerator and freezer run for maybe an hour, and then you can start working on, cooking or whatever it is you want to do now that you have power back. But the question I get is those longer term power outages. Like what do we do? What do we throw out? What do we need to, or what can we save? Because of course we don't want to have to throw things out if we don't have to. So the foods that would be unsafe, like if your refrigerator, when you open it, power comes back on, if you have a refrigerator thermometer in your refrigerator, which is a great thing to have, if it's at 41 degrees Fahrenheit, or colder, okay, everything in your fridge has stayed cold enough. But if you notice that it's starting to creep up, it's at 45 Fahrenheit, 50 or warmer, then it's a pretty good observation that your foods have been warm for quite a while. And so it's probably best to start throwing out those perishable things. So perishable things would be raw and uncooked meats, leftover food. So if you had a little bit of chili left over from a previous meal, that's probably going to be too warm. Milks, some softer cheeses, so cream cheese, feta cheese, Um, any type of like batter. So if you had maybe cookie dough that you had, mixed up prior and you wanted to make cookies later, that's going to be something you should throw out. Things that are generally pretty safe to keep, even if it's been warm, would be higher acid condiments. So things like mustard, ketchup, because those are really mostly vinegar. And so vinegar is a great preservative.
Mm.
And then your uncooked fresh fruits and vegetables. So if you've got an orange that you haven't peeled apart yet, if you've got apples in your fridge that is not cut into pieces, those are great to keep. Same for harder cheeses. So things like cheddar cheese are going to be fine. Butter typically is going to be fine. It'll be a little softer probably than if it's in your fridge when it's cold. Or things like nuts. If you keep nuts in your freezer or refrigerator, and I apologize, I've got a little something in my eye there. So there's a
Not
long
okay,
list.
Caitlin. Not okay.
Not okay.
I'm
I
just
know.
no,
I was
you're
like,
fine.
oh,
I'm kidding with you. You're good.
so it's a long list. I'm not going to read everything, but
Yeah.
both the USDA, their Food Safety and Inspection Service, they have a nice list of information and different types of foods in that, not safe to consume if your power's been off for really long term, and the foods that you can save for those longer term power outages. So I recommend USDA.gov for that. And then extension, we do have a disasters page. So extension.illinois.edu/disaster. And so we go through actually like some meal ideas for when your power's been out for a while. Like what can I eat from my pantry if I'm trying to not open my refrigerator and freezer, and some other disaster tips for other things like cleaning up your yard or what to do if you've got like down power lines, like how to be safe around that. So definitely this time of year in the summer when Illinois is hit with a lot of extreme weather, it's really good to be up to date on what you can do after that disaster to clean up and stay safe.
No question. Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator, our guest here from the U of I Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. Had to dial in on that one that time, Caitlin. But no, we appreciate you making time for us as always. Hey, a question maybe a lot of folks have, and like I said, we had this issue a couple of years ago when some power went out, and it was out for multiple days, and we were doing our best to preserve all the like the milks and the cheeses and everything. We're trying to figure out, is this still cold? Can we make this? Can we grab a cooler, fill it up with some ice, and throw things in it? Is that acceptable? Is that an acceptable food preservation practice?
Absolutely. So certainly don't go out while there's bad weather, but once the weather's calmed down, going to maybe your local gas station and grabbing a couple bags of ice and using some coolers to keep those foods extra cold. That's a great option. If you have freezer packs that have been able to, maybe you stored them in that ice with the other things, that's a great way to help keep things cool for the temporary time. Some places might sell like even dry ice or ice blocks that you might be able to, like old school, like this is like my grandma talking about the ice box, the ice chest, like literally was that, right? The big old block of ice that kept that food cold. So we can go really old school for keeping that keeping those foods cold or maybe frozen. Yeah, that'd be a great option if you have access to it for sure. But definitely don't go out right when the weather is terrible. But as it's safe to do so, then certainly that's a great option. If you've got that multiple day power outage, go grab some bags of ice from someone who does have power.
I don't know if you know this information off the top of your head. I recognize I'm throwing a curveball at you a little bit here. I know like Ameren and some power providers, your insurance may even cover like food loss during some of this. Do you know anything about that side of this, Caitlin?
Yeah, so that is very dependent on your provider. I'm not sure about the power companies themselves, but I know that some insurances will reimburse uh, money for lost groceries. You do need to check with your individual insurance provider. And so I know from a family member that had a long-term power outage, there was actually a minimum. So they had to show at least $200 worth of food loss to be covered. And so in that case, my family member did not meet that, $200 minimum to cover it. So unfortunately, they were not able to get reimbursed for the food that they did lose. But especially if you are a household that has like a big chest freezer and you've got maybe like half a cow in your freezer, it's a lot of money. So certainly
Mhm.
your insurance, in the case of that, you would definitely be covering more than $200. But definitely check with your insurance provider and see what their requirements are.
Very good. Very good. Well, Caitlin, on that note, I look at the clock. We could use a break. Anything on, that kind of food preservation during a power outage that we didn't touch on, you want to put out there for us this morning?
Yeah, I think just if you're not sure, so especially if you're getting into like flooding,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of packages with food will get soaked if it's like flooding, and we don't want to, like, flood water touches a lot of things. It touches bird poop, it touches soil, like it touches a lot of things that can have bacteria and other things that can make us sick. And so be very mindful with flooding that you may have had on your property or in your house around food. So again, I'm going to send people back to USDA or our extension disaster page for some of those specific details. But hopefully everyone has been staying safe, and this has been some crazy weeks of weather for
Man,
us.
I tell you, the weather in June has been wild. Very much so. Very good, Caitlin. Well, I'll tell you what, on that note, let's break. Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator for the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties. My guest on the Zoom. More to come with Caitlin on the morning show.
WHOW.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Lower across the board with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. July corn down 4 3/4, 4.16 1/4. September corn 4.24 1/2 down to nickel. December corn 4.43 3/4, also down a nickel. July beans down 8 1/4, 11.23 3/4. August beans down 7 1/2, 11.29 1/4. November beans 11.42 1/2, down 6 3/4. July Chicago wheat down 6 3/4, 6.06. July KC wheat, 648 1/2, down 4. July bean meal, $300.70, down 4.10. July bean oil down 205, 69.49. Livestock trade August feeders down to $1.32, 366.10. June live cattle down 80 cents, 254.92. July lean hogs 94.57, down 7 cents. Energy market August Brent crude oil 76.71, down 2.84.
Paul Skowron here, CEO of Warner Hospital. Spring allergies acting up? At Warner Hospital and Health Services, we offer fast treatment to help you breathe easier and feel better fast. Quality care right here, right now. Click on our icon on DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guest on the Zoom today, Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator for the University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Piatt counties, our guest today. Caitlin, 4th of July is here. I know we kind of really highlight food safety, kind of at the start of the grilling season. Obviously Memorial Day, kind of that kickoff to summer and the summer grilling time outside and all those things. But I tell you what, we've got a nice long weekend to celebrate America's 250th. There's going to be tons of celebration. I'm sure there's going to be tons of grills fired up. If you're thinking about it now, make sure that propane tank is ready to roll. That's top of mind for me right now for sure. How about these things, Caitlin? What do we need to keep in mind? Food safety for the 4th of July.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely want people to be food safe as they're doing some, really big celebrations this year. And so we always come back to the 4 kind of principles of food safety. So whether you're cooking indoors or outdoors, it all applies. And those are clean, separate, cook, and chill. So cleaning is always about hand washing. So we want to make sure that we are washing with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Same for our fruits and vegetables. So I think this is something that people forget is you want to spend similar amount of time washing the exterior of your apples and rinsing off your broccoli and other foods for that 20 seconds, just like we do for hand washing. And then making sure that your surfaces are clean. So soap and water, especially if you're grilling between multiple foods or cleaning the grill in between so that your, well, one, just the greasy residue and buildup maybe from your previous cook is not going to impact the flavor or, add any kind of like funky char flavor to your next grill, but also for food safety reasons. We're making sure that any leftover meat residue is not growing bacteria and that we are cleaning that before we get started. Separating is also then about keeping raw, uncooked meat separate from our ready-to-eat foods. So ready-to-eat foods, especially during this time of year, it can be pasta salads, potato salad, fruit salad, lots of salads, right? That we are not prepping our burgers and our brats and our chicken breast and wings and every other, piece of meat that we're going to work with, that we're not using the same cutting boards or the same knives for the uncooked meats as we did to prepare and chop up vegetables or fruits. So that's clean, that's separate. And then cooking is about making sure that our foods are cooked to safe temperatures. I love that there's newer technology with a lot of grills where you can have even now wireless thermometers, so you can insert the probe into your meat. There is no wire anymore for some of these brands where you can have the temperature recorded to a smart device, whether that's your phone or a tablet, and that way you don't have to check on the meat by opening and releasing heat off of your grill. But if you just want to go, old school, a great standard food thermometer is going to be just fine for that. And then the last one is chill. So leftover food. So this is where I think it gets it's easy to forget during the excitement of I haven't seen a certain friend or family member in a while. I want to chat with them, and forgetting about the leftover foods that's sitting out, especially 4th of July when it's often very hot in the upper 80s, sometimes 90s, and bacteria will love to grow in that really warm temperature. So for any leftover food that's sitting out at that 2-hour mark, so you take it out of a refrigerator, you take it off the stove, out of the oven, off the grill, and it's sitting out at room temperature or air temperature if you're eating outside, at that 2-hour mark, go ahead and start wrapping everything up. Move it into cold storage in your refrigerator. If the temperature is above 90, drop that down to just 1 hour out of that air temperature, because that extra heat means the bacteria is going to grow a lot faster. And so we don't want to spoil your family reunions or your holiday celebrations with friends with food poisoning, right? That would be the worst.
Right,
So
right.
look at that, that 2-hour mark for leftover foods, move those back into cold storage. And that is not, and then 1 hour for that really warm temperature. So when it's above 90, drop it down to just 1 hour before you move things back into cold storage.
Sure. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Food safety. Make sure we get those, even in the heat of the summer, Caitlin, make sure we're getting those foods cooked to that proper temperature. I don't know if I told you this. I got a smoker a month or so ago, and I had a food thermometer. I mean, it was a kitchen one, it was a Food Network one, actually. So it was decent, but it was kind of your standard kitchen one, like check your turkey temperature, check your ham temperature. But I got a nice one, a really nice one for the new smoker, and it's working out really well. I'm excited about it. So I am equipped with a nice food thermometer now.
Oh, that makes my food safety heart just happy.
Right. Right. Very good. Very good. Hey, anything else on food safety, Caitlin, before we let you go, or not let you go, but before we wrap up this topic and move along here this morning?
No, that's always, and I guess I always forget to add, think about what surfaces you're touching, especially if you're grilling outdoors. You're coming inside and outside, so you might be touching door handles. So just be aware of, what surfaces you're touching as you're moving, especially raw meat, between maybe an indoor prep area and an outdoor grill. Just be aware of what surfaces you're touching and clean those up if you do accidentally touch maybe a door handle.
Sure. Very good. Caitlin, as we wrap up here for this morning, I always get a crack up of the Instagram reels that seem to find me. You're okay. You're almost almost 40. Now here's, 7 things that you're probably into right now. And one of those is sourdough. Now, I'm not into sourdough, but it kind of cracks me up that that's on the list. And I know you've got some sourdough classes coming up. Tell me about this a little bit.
Yeah, so with the weather last night, we did reschedule the sourdough class with the library in Clinton, so that is now going to be July the 8th. It's a Wednesday, starting at 5:30 to 6:30, and then I will be in Cerro Gordo at the library in Cerro Gordo, July 6th. 16th, excuse me, and in the evening, and we will be going through basics of sourdough starter and what it takes to make sourdough bread. And there's an optional activity. If you're ready to start a starter, we've got 7 days of materials ready for you to get a starter going.
Mhm.
And yeah, I know some people are excited about that, and some people go, I'm just going to buy mine. So either way works. But yeah, it's really, really popular right now. And so we're glad to bring it up. I know I've got lots of requests, so more to come for anyone listening that can't make those 2 classes. There will be more to come, I promise.
All right, very good. Talk to me about this Cooking with Grandma class you've got coming up.
Yeah, so my colleague Tammy is going to be coordinating with our office in Clinton, and then the Maroa Library in July, on July 16th for our Clinton office, and July 17th for the Maroa Library. And basically we're inviting grandmas to bring their grandkids, and we're going to do just some basic cooking with intergenerational, family fun. So this is something that she did last year, and we had a great time getting families involved. And so if you've got a grandma close to you, bring them. And if you don't have a grandma, we have a partnership with our home and community education ladies, and they have offered to be surrogate grandparents. So if you don't have a grandparent in the area or who can't make it, we will be happy to provide a surrogate grandma for the
Very
afternoon.
good. Caitlin, where do folks learn about all these things we've talked about today?
Yeah, so head over to our extension page for local classes. You can find that at go.illinois.edu/DMP for DeWitt, Macon, Payette, or our general extension page, extension.illinois.edu, and especially the disaster page. Check that out for resources on cleaning up from bad weather that we've been having.
Yeah, no question. A lot of folks impacted by that the last few days, and the best to those folks and their communities as well. Caitlin, always good to talk to you. Thanks for making time for us.
Thanks, Seth.
Yep, Caitlin Mellendorf, nutrition educator, University of Illinois Extension in DeWitt, Macon, and Payette counties, our guest on the Zoom. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network News.